Breaking news, Bobby Karalla and Tanner are going to play for the Dallas Mavericks tonight because at this point, who's going to play for the Mavericks? We'll try to tell you next on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Here we go. Hey, what's up, DLLS Mavs Nation? It's your man, Kevin Gray, alongside Mavericks analyst Bobby Karalla. We are DLLS Mavs. We really appreciate you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show here on DLLS Sports as the Mavericks host the Golden State Warriors tonight at the American Airlines Center as they continue their 4-game homestand. We'll get you ready for the game over the course of the next half hour with tip-off tonight at 8:30 p.m. If you're going to be watching the game, you can watch it on ESPN or KFAA Channel 29. Let's get to it because we got a lot to dive into tonight as the Mavericks will be not just shorthanded, severely shorthanded as they welcome in Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, and the Golden State Warriors looking for what will be their 29th win of the season are the Mavericks. Bobby, how you feeling, man? I'm feeling a different kind of energy from you over here, and I'm trying to pick up on it, trying to make sure my boy is good going into tonight.
I am resigned to whatever fate awaits me over the course of the next 3 hours, KG. I mean, it's really, really hard. You know, I think that we should dive right into the injury report because it's so long that if we wait until the time we normally do it, we might run out of time on the show. The Mavs will not have a single power forward or center available tonight. They can't even sign our guy, Dirk Nowitzki, to a 10-day contract because he's in L.A. watching his former teammate
That's true.
play out there. So, like,
and I don't know if his knees or ankle would allow it at this point in his life, honestly.
At least he's tall.
He could get in the way.
You know, it's going to be tough, man. Over the next 2 games, there's going to be no PJ. There's going to be no Gafford, no
That's
AD.
right.
I don't even know if Dwight Powell's like still in the NBA anymore. There's been no update on him. They won't have any bigs. They won't have any bigs tonight or tomorrow. And, you know, for a team that is already running on fumes, they're going to have to dig so deep tonight that they might like come out the other side of the bag, like all the way around and like reach in twice or something. Like, I don't know how they're going to do it.
No, we're going to find out how they're going to try to do it in about 45 minutes at the American Airlines Center. Game number 55 on the season for your Dallas Mavericks as they move that much closer, Jason Kidd, to the All-Star break. Mavericks had 28-26 on the year, 15-11 at the AAC. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors at 27-26 themselves. They're 12-13 away from Chase Center in San Francisco, home of the 2025 NBA All-Star Game. Shout out to Kyrie Irving, who will be in San Francisco for the nighttime.
Does he have to?
Yes, he will need to be there in San Francisco for the All-Star game.
It's just such a risk for anyone to be near a floor right now.
I agree.
Except for the Empire Today floors. We love that floor.
We love those
the hardwood,
floors. Yes.
I don't know about that.
We're going to have Kyrie Irving in our Mavericks player spotlight a little bit later on in the show as well. Some numbers when it comes to him and how much he's been playing for the Dallas Mavericks as of late. Warriors 6.5-point favorite going into tonight's game. The over-under at 233.5. Let's kind of sit. You good?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I thought you were about to say something. My bad.
No,
my bad. Let's set you up for tonight's game between the Mavericks and the Warriors. Let's start with the Mavericks. 8th in the Western Conference right now. Sit 2 full games behind the Los Angeles Clippers for 6th in the West. 2-4 in their last 6 games and 5-5 in their last 10 games overall. Dallas 20-18 so far against the Western Conference this year, but just 12-18 against teams above 500. Mavs, though, currently 1-1 on their 4-game homestand as they look to get their second win tonight. That continues tonight on the first night of a back-to-back for the Mavericks as they will play Golden State tonight and they welcome in Jimmy Butler's former team in the Miami Heat in tomorrow night at the AAC before as they will take that will be their final game before the All-Star break. Meanwhile, the Golden State Warriors sitting there at 10th in the Western Conference themselves. They're 2.5 games behind the Clippers for the 6th seed and just a half game behind the Mavericks right now for the 8th spot in the Western Conference. Golden State, though, has won their last 2 games in a row with wins over the Bulls and the Milwaukee Bucks, Bobby's Bucks, that is. Meanwhile, they're 17-18 versus the West so far this year, and just 13-19 against teams above 500. So a similar kind of profile when you're looking at the Warriors and the Mavericks coming into tonight's game. Golden State also on the first night of a back-to-back as well. They're on the road tonight here in Dallas, and then they'll be on the road tomorrow when they take on the Houston Rockets in the final game before the All-Star break themselves. So both teams on the first night of a back-to-back. The Mavericks at home for theirs, the Warriors on the road for theirs, being in Houston tomorrow night. That gets us to Bobby Carella's scouting report, and I'm interested to hear it because I don't know what he's going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, I don't either, dude. Like, you know, I keep thinking back to the fourth quarter of the game against the Rockets on Saturday, whenever, you know, Houston was going big. They had Steven Adams in there. They had Alperen Şengün in there playing the 4, and Daniel Gafford was on Steven Adams, and it was like Najee or Spencer Dinwiddie one time ended up on Şengün, like a bunch of guys that aren't big guarding Şengün, and it was impossible for them to get a stop. And then I think back to, you know, the second half of the fourth quarter, the last game they played against the Kings, whenever Sabonis was just getting every single offensive rebound, and it was just, again, impossible for them to get a stop down the stretch in either of those games. And against Houston, they were able to score enough to win. Against Sacramento, they weren't able to score enough to win. And, you know, it's going to have to be one of those nights tonight. They're going to have to score 130 points probably to win this game because, you know, Kevon Looney and Trace Jackson Davis, for example, are not the same caliber bigs as Alperen Şengün or Domantas Sabonis. Those are like all-star caliber, potentially all-NBA caliber players. Looney and TJD are not that, but they're very physical. And whenever you got Steph doing all his dances around the perimeter, you're chasing him, you're double-teaming him, you're putting so much pressure 30 feet away from the rim. You got 2 guys out there whenever he shoots. How on earth are you going to stop Looney? How are you going to box him out? And so I think that and the same could be said for Draymond. The same could be said for, you know, they got some athletes. They got some wings that are pods can get in there and mix it up on the glass. Moses Moody or Moody Modi or Modi Moody Meaty Modi Modi. Kendrick Perkins would call him. You know, like they just got guys that'll get in there and mix it up. And I don't necessarily think Jimmy Buckets will the way that Andrew Wiggins always used to whenever the Mavs would play the Warriors, but he'll get in there too, you know, and it's just going to be so much pressure on the rim, not from the shooters, but from the rebounders. Like, it's just going to be really, really hard for them to compile enough stops. So if I am playing defense as the Mavs tonight, I am literally throwing as much garbage at the Warriors as I possibly can. I'm talking full court press,
box and
full
one,
court trap, box and one, triangle and 2, 1-3-1. Like, I am literally just doing
all the junk defenses,
the dumbest things ever to try and force turnovers, to try and force bad shots, to try and force overthinking. And I'm talking like literally play man, then play 2-3, then play man, then play 1-3-1, then full court trap. Then I want to do a triangle and 2. Like, I'm talking possession by possession, change it up.
Yeah.
I think the only way that you're going to have a good defensive game and limit them to at least to one shot, you know, at the very least, only allow one shot is by throwing junk coverage at the Warriors. I think that's really the only way. Now, I'm not trying to be pessimistic about it. It's just, I mean, I saw Kevon Looney get rebounds against Dwight and Maxey in a series.
That's true.
You know, TJD is a good rebound. Like, they have good rebounders on their team. The Mavs do not have centers or power forwards. So this can be really, really tough. I'm curious to see what they do. But it could also just be everyone is so exhausted that they're like, man, I don't want to try that. Let's just try your best.
Yeah.
You know?
And Jason Kidd spoke to some of that. It's like, it's going to be about energy and effort tonight from the guys that are available on the floor. That gets us to our lead story going into tonight's game, and Bobby has alluded to it quite a bit throughout the course of our first segment here, is that the Mavericks come into tonight's game with no true center experience at all. Yes, Kyler Kelly is on the roster. He's not maybe going to play all that much. He might get a few spare minutes, but at the same time, no Daniel Gafford, no Derek Lively, no Anthony Davis, no Dwight Powell. What
about PJ Washington?
No PJ Washington either.
Oh, my God. Well, Dante Exum, he's got some pretty good size for a guard.
I apologize to you, but he will not be available either. So that means Tanner is going to leave the studio here momentarily and then go to the AC.
That's why you brought a jersey with you tonight.
That's
huh?
right. Yeah. That's right.
Okay. I'm good for 6 fouls.
You might need to be good for 6 fouls tonight. because the Mavericks got to find a way to compensate for the lack of size. Bobby started to allude to it in his scouting report there, and the Mavericks have got to find a way to scrap anything and put anything together as far as this team is concerned, taking on the Golden State Warriors. I asked Jason Kidd during his pregame availability what the conversations have been like between him and Nico Harrison over the last 11 days or so in the wake of the Luka Doncic trade, and how this team somehow tries to move forward with what they have right now. Here's what Jason Kidd had to say.
Talk has just been strictly about, just the injuries of figuring out who we can get in to help us. And right now we're pretty landlocked, or understanding that the break is coming in 10 days. We'll start here soon. But that's all that I'm focused on, is how can we fill some of the holes, or can we fill that last roster spot, or can we find another two-way that can help us that's taller than 6'7"? That's all I'm focused on. Or if he is 6'7", can he play physical, and can he help us? Right now we're in the process of help. And that's all I've talked with Nico about, is like, what can we get that can help us today? And the break is coming not fast enough, but it'll be here tomorrow, and then we can regroup.
So there you go. Trying to find help right now is the name of the game for this team. And I thought that there was, wasn't it the thing they called the NBA trade deadline that just passed?
That was a thing that happened.
That was a thing that happened.
Yeah. Well, they did trade for a guy right around the deadline, but he hasn't played for them yet.
That's right. Because he's out tonight. He's got a hip injury.
Yeah.
That would be one, Caleb Martin.
Isn't it cool that every single player that's hurt, except for Dwight, who would be the first or second string center if he was healthy right now, every single player that's out for the Mavs tonight is a top 1 or top 2 player at their position on this team.
That's right.
It's not like the two-way guys.
Nope.
And your fourth stringers are hurt. Nope. It is all your top guys.
Yeah. 7 of your 14, especially your top 7 guys. Yeah.
Can I give a quick rule thing about
Sure.
what Jacob was talking about? The Mavs can't sign someone to their 15th roster spot right now. They cannot do that until the end of March. What they can do is sign one guy, one time, to a 10-day contract. They can do that one time, and they cannot sign that guy and then sign him to another 10-day contract. They literally can sign one player once for 10 days between now and the end of the season, or they have to wait until March 31st to sign someone to an end-of-season contract. But the player that they sign in that circumstance would not be able to play on the playoff roster if they made it that far, unless he's cut from his current team by the end of the month.
Oh, wow.
And if the Mavs were to sign somebody today to a 10-day contract, the All-Star break would count.
Oh, man. Oh, wow. So they are really stuck between a rock and a hard place.
So
that's crazy.
It is true that the break starts tomorrow.
That is true.
Unfortunately, they got to play 2 games before tomorrow. So, yeah, it's going to be these guys for the next 2 games, and then we'll see coming out of the All-Star break if they're willing to use that one spot one time. Because if you sign a guy to a 10-day, you cannot sign a 15th player. That's the hard cap. I think it's a really dumb – I despise that rule. I think it's a very silly rule. I also want to use this opportunity to point out that if they were not paying JaVale McGee a couple $1 million a year to not be on the team anymore, they'd already be able to sign a minimum guy or 2 if they wanted.
Man.
But, hey, mistakes of the past will haunt you forever. Just keep that in mind before you're about to do something stupid.
Can you throw up Aaron Deasy's comment? Because the Mavericks do have the chance to do the funniest thing, actually. Christian Wood.
Nope, don't want him.
Don't think we want him.
I think J-Kid would just quit if they tried to do that.
Well, the funny thing about Christian Wood was, so the Lakers signed Alex Len, and someone had not that long ago had asked Christian Wood, "Hey man, how things going for you?" Said, and Christian Wood responded on Twitter, he was like, "Yeah, I'll be back soon." It wasn't an hour or 2 later, he was cut by the Lakers in order to make room for Alex Len. So Christian Wood available on the market.
That's he played for a team where Luka was like, we need a big man really bad.
That's right. And
they're like, oh, okay, so we'll just replace Christian Wood with one.
That's
so right. I know a lot of Mavs fans really, really love Wood during his time here. He had some really good stretches. But yeah, it speaks volumes.
Yeah, it does. No, it really does. Before we get you to talking a little bit about Sleeper real quick, The Mavericks and Warriors playing each other for the third time this year, with the season series tied at 1 game apiece. Of course, the Warriors won the first matchup back on November the 12th when Klay Thompson made his return to the Bay. They won that game 120-117. The Mavericks, of course, won the second matchup, Bobby, in what was a classic game on December the 15th, where the Mavericks won 143-133. Do you remember who led the Mavericks in points, rebounds, and assists that particular night?
Omax?
No. Luka Doncic had 45 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists in that win against the Golden State Warriors that night. In what was a terrific game. Both teams coming off some rest, and they played some tremendous
we did a whole segment after that game about why that game was so much fun.
It was so fun. Both teams were rested. Both teams were cooking, shooting the ball from distance. Like, yeah, that was like fantastic. That's one of the better games this season, honestly.
That game saved basketball. And then the Mavs saw it, and they were like, you know what? We actually don't like this.
We don't want that.
I don't want that anymore.
That 77 cat? Yeah, we don't want that cat.
Please stop doing this fun stuff.
They'll play each other for the final time in the regular season in just 11 days back in Golden State, where Bobby will love the fact that the Mavericks will play in Golden State 3 times this year.
NBA Cup is awesome.
That's right. That's one of the games was
so good.
An NBA Cup. That's right, because the second game in Golden State was because of the whole NBA Cup. The first one was a NBA Cup matchup. Then they had to go back there again because of the NBA.
The makeup.
The makeup game, yeah.
Despite the Mavs having a better point differential than the Warriors.
That's right.
In the same group. It's because the Warriors beat the Mavs by like 1 point or something. So the Mavs had to play a whole extra road game this season.
Darn
the NBA Cup is awesome. It's just really good.
It's great.
It's so good.
Coming up here, we will let you know who's in, who's out, what Jason Kidd had to say about why he didn't talk to the media on Monday night, and we'll welcome in our Mavericks beat writer Tim Cato live from the American Airlines Center. But before that, let's talk to you a little bit about Sleeper.
My sleeper pick of the night. It's time to take it back to basics. The other night, I lost my wit, and I said Luka's going to score 40. I should not have done that. I think Steph, though, is going to score at least 20 points. The Mavs generally will double-team Steph a lot, so he doesn't have a lot of those like 30 to 35 point outbursts against Dallas in the J-Kidd era, at least, because they force the ball out of his hands so much. But I still think he'll get his. Kyrie's points plus rebounds plus assists is on sale tonight, all the way down to 34.5. So I'm going to take more than that. And then Draymond Green is like a career 72% three-point shooter against the Mavs or something. Like, it's just not even fair. He turns into Steph whenever he plays against Dallas. So I think he's going to make at least 1 3. If all of those things happen to Sleeper, the more you play, the more you win, all the way up to 100 times your money. My multiplier is times 2.75 for this. So my $5 pick would pay out $13.75 in pure profit. And then, like Captain Klay, I can go buy a boat. If you think you know ball like me, or think that you know ball more than me, which should not be hard based on my recent success on Sleeper, download the app, use promo code DLLS Mavs when playing $5 to get $55 free to use on any play. It does not have to be your first. See the terms of use for details.
Appreciate all of you joining us here on the DLLS Mavs pregame show. Let's welcome in our Mavericks beat. Oh, okay. All right. Well, in just a moment, we'll welcome in our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center as the Mavericks get ready to take on the Golden State Warriors. Just a couple of numbers to get you caught up on how the Warriors have been performing coming into tonight's game. Satina's 18th in points per game so far this year. 5th worst in field goal percentage so far this year are the Warriors. They're just 13th in three-point percentage. Dead last in the NBA as far as free throw percentage is concerned as well. But they do rebound the basketball extremely well, as they're 3rd in the NBA in rebounds per game. With that, let's now welcome in our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Cato, live from the American Airlines Center.
Hi,
ahead
Tim.
of tonight's game between the Mavericks.
Hello, Bobby.
Oh, I don't get a hello?
Well, I said hi.
Hello, Kevin.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Tim.
you didn't say hi to me. I say hi to people who say hi to me.
That's true. That's polite. You're right.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Kevin, come correct.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. There's a beef going on in the Dallas media right now, and it's in the room with us.
No,
This is the beef.
No, it's not.
No, there's no beef.
No,
here.
I'm a friend to everybody.
10 is a friend to the world. He sure
That's right,
is.
yes.
A friend
Yeah.
to the world. Speaking of the media, Jason Kidd did not address the media on Monday after the loss to the Sacramento Kings. Jason Kidd did address it as far as why he did not. Here is what Jason Kidd had to say about why he did not talk to the media on Monday.
Before we get started, let me just clear up the air a little bit about the post meeting. Just understanding a lot goes on. I felt bad. I was like, thank you for your grace and the NBA for their grace of the situation. We lost a tough game. We lost another player. So I just needed some time to regroup and refocus and figure out how to put these pieces back together. So I want to thank you.
My man was defeated. He could have said, you know what? I was tired. I'm defeated. Another loss, another player loss, which, I mean, he did say actually. But Tim, just an honest admission from Jason Kidd about why he did not talk to the media on Monday night.
Yeah, it's kind of what we thought. I don't know what Jason Kidd could have gone on and said after that loss. That's not excusing it, but it is at least it's an explanation that this team, like, put aside everything that has happened. This injury crisis is still, one of one. This is not something that is, Jason Kidd said he has never seen it before, and I can't remember ever seeing it to this extent. And, maybe there's been teams that have gone through injury crises, but usually that sinks them. This team's still fighting. This team is still believing that if it gets to the postseason, then it has a chance. And to be fighting every night and to be, conjuring up this effort every night, a commendable effort from this team, and to still be losing games and to still be going through the stretch and to have literally not even one player on a full-time contract over the height of 6'8" available. Like, I get it from that. I get it from the human perspective. Again, when it comes to the job itself, his job is to show up. But I also, I did ask the NBA. I know Mark Stein did as well. But the NBA was basically like, Jason Kidd has gone 30 years without skipping a media appearance that he had to be at. We'll give him another 30 years after this. If any point in the next 30 years he misses one, maybe it's a situation where, something has to happen. But 30 years of good graces is probably worth brushing aside. And in the context of how the NBA views it, I think it's something to just kind of write off and move on from.
Are you telling me that J. Kidd will be the coach of the Mavs for the next 30 years?
I'm just saying that if Jason Kidd is still being required in 30 years to show up to NBA mandatory press conferences,
okay,
maybe that's a situation where he can get away with this again.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean,
this is coming from the NBA, not me, Bobby. This is coming from the NBA, not me. So
yeah,
it's all a conspiracy, isn't it? They already know.
Let's not.
Oh.
Let's not.
Okay.
Shout out to our guy Charlie Saturday, who's in the chat. He'll appreciate the reference. It feels like this Mavericks team is a boxer in like the 8th or 9th round. They're fighting, but they honestly know what's about to happen coming up in the 10th round is that they're going to get knocked out. It feels like this team is hanging on as much as it can before ultimately it succumbs to their opponent, and their opponent this year is injuries. Because even with the injuries that the team is dealing with tonight, we'll hear more from our guy Mark Stein a little bit later on in the postgame show. Anthony Davis dealing with that adductor strain, going to be out for weeks as well, avoiding surgery. But what does that ultimately mean for this team? So this team is going through it quite a bit. And as we look at the injury report for tonight's game, obviously we've detailed it quite a bit for the Warriors. Jonathan Kuminga, he's going to be out with the right ankle sprain. That is the only one that's going to be out for Golden State tonight. But we've gone through it when it comes to the Mavericks. Anthony Davis, Derek Lively, Caleb Martin, Dwight Powell, Daniel Gafford, P.J. Washington, and Dante Exum out tonight as well, which gets it to well over 190 games missed, team games missed due to injury for this team, which puts them, I believe, in the top 6 or 7 in the NBA. As far as team games missed.
It's like almost all of them have come in the last month and a half.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. And that's
Kevin,
what it feels like. Yeah.
Do you want the starters? I've got the starters.
I actually am really curious.
Yeah, let's hear it.
So Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson.
Okay.
Max Christie.
Let's go.
Kessler
All right,
Edwards.
cool.
Max Prosper.
That's only 4 players. That's really
Max
bold.
Christie, Kessler Edwards.
Oh, Kessler.
Max Prosper.
Okay.
In addition to Kyrie and Klay.
All right. So
3 guys named that start with a K. Shout out to the K guys.
Well,
Kyrie,
let's not talk
Clay.
about 3 Ks.
Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
that's
wow.
a bad number of Ks.
Well, 4 if you include me. 4 if you include me.
my last name
There we
starts
go.
with a
There we
K.
go.
And,
But
Four,
five
and
is-
Kato
5
phonetically
Ks.
is a K.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
6 Ks. That is a better number of Ks.
It should be said that Omax is the team starting center tonight, and he is their 4th string power forward.
Oh
Kessler
my
Edwards, their
gosh.
starting power forward, is their 5th string small forward. So it's all good, man. It's all good. Loving it.
Pop, 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 pop. Yeah. So those are the bodies you got. that's the bodies that you have right now. Going into tonight's game. And let's get to our Mavericks player spotlight, Tim, because honestly, we're going to focus in on Kyrie Irving. And the reason why we do, Kyrie Irving had a great game against the Kings on Monday night. He had 30 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists, and 3 steals in the overtime loss. But played 44 minutes in that game. In fact, he played all of the second half and overtime except for 2 minutes and 20 seconds of that third quarter. In fact, in his last 8 games, he's played at least 37 minutes in 7 out of those 8 games and played at least 40 minutes in 5 of the last 8 games. I don't know how sustainable this is for a guy that's 32 years old, 14 years in the league, dealing with a bad back, that he is playing a heavy ton of minutes for this team right now. Pretty much out of necessity, I guess it feels like at this point.
The one thing I'll say is under no circumstances should the back injury be forgotten. But basically what Kyrie has said about that is that he just hasn't re-aggravated it. Like, since he's returned, he's felt fine. There is a chance that he could have an issue with it that comes from a ton of minutes. And again, I'm not whatsoever reducing, just what it takes to be an NBA player and how much you have to pay, play through on a nightly basis. But the back injury, as far as I understand it, is not going to affect him until it does. The problem is that when you keep playing him 40 plus minutes, and you really have to play him 40 plus minutes, it feels like in most of these games to even have a chance, and he has to play the entire rest of the season. Like, there's no chance for rest. You're just increasing the chance that it does backfire on him in some way. And if it were to backfire, that would be an enormous issue that Dallas, you could argue the season is over now, just with the injuries they're going through. Like, it's going to be so hard to climb out of it. Like, their best case scenario is a bunch of tired players have to, win 2 games in the play-in tournament. Like, it already kind of looks like that might be an inevitable outcome. It's not the feeling in the locker room. But yeah, the Kyrie, it's not a good situation to be in. So even if the back is not affecting him on a game-to-game basis, you just have so much tied up in this one player who's about to turn 33, who could have a very unfortunate and very catastrophic injury reoccur to him. And the more you lean on him, the worse the odds get that you're just going to be in a very bad situation for the rest of the season.
Tim, before we let you go, what are you anticipating tonight at the American Airlines Center after what happened on Monday with fans being tossed? One fan apparently got courtside seats tonight, courtesy of Mark Cuban, after being tossed. So congratulations to that person. But at the same time, it should be another interesting atmosphere at the American Airlines Center tonight.
My experience with people, is that if you tell them not to do something, they're going to try to do it even more. And so I expect this game to be more like Monday's game than Saturday's game. We'll see. That's what I'm here for. I'm just saying, humans are inherently stubborn, and I just don't think this approach is going to go over well. So more to come. We'll talk about it on the postgame.
I can give you a little preview real quick. Our studio, without disclosing the exact location, is close enough to the arena to where people hang out that are ostensibly on their way to the game. And a gentleman just walked past the office and could be heard yelling, "Fire Nico!"
Oh boy!
So, and we're like not right next door to the arena. So if that sentiment is already being thrown around, I can only imagine what it's going to be like on the inside.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to watch this SMU basketball game tonight.
Yeah. Yeah.
We laugh to keep from crying. Tim, as always, we appreciate you, my guy. We'll talk to you post game here on the post game show.
I will see y'all then.
Bye, Tim.
So, Mavs beat writer Tim Cato reporting live from the American Airlines Center. It's game time for your Dallas Mavericks, or some semblance of them, as they take on Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, and the Golden State Warriors. As the Mavericks move that much closer to the All-Star break. We'll be back 15 minutes after the game is over with, right here on DLLS Sports. Our national NBA insider, Mark Stein, will be joining us as well, live from the arena with the latest when it comes to Anthony Davis and his injury status moving forward for the Dallas Mavericks as well. And also our Mavericks beat writer, Tim Kittle, will be joining us here on the post-game show as well. Appreciate our guy Tanner, make us look good, sound good here on the pregame show. That is our Mavericks analyst, Bobby Curla. I'm your host, Kevin Gray. We are DLLS Mavs. We'll talk to you 15 minutes after the Mavericks take on the Golden State Warriors at the American Airlines Center. Thanks for joining us. Y'all be good. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.